Kids, welcome to Glen's Drum Emporium. We are working on the early 80s Gretsch kit. We're just doing an evaluation. Like in the video I posted before, this was originally a friend of mine's kit, Lamore. Later traded to a music store here in town, and then bought by Randy Tucker and played until his passing in 2018. Both these guys have passed away. So we'll start with the good news. The good news is Randy left a lot of stuff in his stick bag here. He played really heavy drumsticks. Like these are clubs to me. I don't my sticks don't even come close to this. So he's got 2B's, got nylon tip, and he's got wooden tip ones in here. There's a couple of variable brands like YAPS, but they're all roughly the same scale. This here is a nice leather pouch that he had his drum keys in, and classic earplugs. That was the last time you saw these. Okay, this is the interesting part. These are Ludwig Mallets. They're very nice actually. And I have some Ludwig drum sets, so anytime I find Ludwig stuff, I put it with the Ludwigs. Anything Ludwig in parts, we go with the Ludwigs. Now these drumsticks are really too heavy for kids, for my Christmas cheer kits. So I have a few drummers that play heavy stuff like this, and I've debated on giving them away or giving this to the museum with the sticks in it, just as a remembrance to Randy. I'll toss that around. I'm definitely keeping the mallets here. In this little pouch, little plier set, a drummer's arsenal of extra things, felts, clutches for the hi-hats. What's really strange is we have a double bass clutch. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember Randy ever playing double bass. If Randy did play double bass, enlighten me, but I don't think he did, so I'm not sure why this is in here. It looks brand new. It looks like it wasn't even used. It's got a little magnifying glass, goes in your pouch. Not quite sure what that is and why he would want that, but it's kind of neat. Maybe like me with old age, you can't see. Oops, a felt just took a run on the ground, so I'll find it after. This is kind of interesting. There's a name brand for this key on here, but I can't read it, so I'm going to research it. It might be the original Gretsch for the kit. I just can't read it. It's definitely got a gold print in there that is heavily worn off, but it's pretty slick. There are a number of drum keys in here, none that say Gretsch, but this may be the Gretsch one. I hope so. That would be nice. Okay, so that's some of the good news. Now we get into a little bit of the bad. So the pedal that came with this kit is your standard pearl. The nice thing about it has the footboard. But as I've learned over the years, the majority of drummers play heel up, or basically the toe on the footboard. I don't really think that's the way pedals were designed to be played, but that was adapted by many players, actually the majority of players, for whatever reason. I play flat foot, so I don't know that world. But what I do know is anybody that's a toe player wears out their pedals faster at the bearings and the bushings at the tailpiece. So what happens is the bearings wear out here, and you can see the pedal has gone like that. If you're a flat-footed player, you would be straight down all the time, but toe players have this weird way of sliding it. They call it the slide. You get the same thing flat foot, but hey, that's the argument for the ages. So the pedal bearings are worn out on this. So sometimes you can re-tap the soft metal all the way through the pedal and the anchor board or heel plate and just put a new one in that's bigger. You oversize it, or sometimes you can get the bearing bushings and re-tap them and have the bearing compensate for the difference in size. The pedal is in good shape, no beater. That's not the pedal that originally came with this kit. I know because I played this kit. It was the Gretsch pedal. So that's MIA. Don't know where that is. And this doesn't have a beater, which, so I know one of the pedals, like I say, should have been with the kit, is not with the kit. So there is a Gretsch pedal somewhere on the planet that came with this kit. So. But you just have to bite the bullet, because it took me 3 years to get this drum set. I doubt if I'm going to ever get the rest of this stuff. So anyways, that pedal is fixable. Let's move on to the drums themselves here, these 3 toms. They are in good shape for the age, but they are severely marked up. And you find that hard to believe that you have drum cases and your drums get that bad. So I know a lot of the times playing in the bars, Randy would just leave his drum set. He'd leave it and just take pieces of it and just stick it in the corner, and where it's not going in the case and being totally taken down, it's still sitting on the rack and they move it over. I've seen this kit sitting like that a few times and things get banged into, so I'm going to say that that's how these got messed up. The other issue is the wood starts to get this wave shape, and then the lacquer starts to crack on them. These drums have got that. That's from lack of proper cleaning with the proper chemicals, and it's also from just not cleaning them. I know Randy was a clean, neat freak with in his apartment, but that didn't transfer to the drums. Sorry, that's just the way it is, the way I see it with this kit. So, and I've seen the kit live many times, and I know it just wasn't cleaned properly. But needless to say, the 10-inch tom is in fairly good shape. I might just buff the living hell out of it, and anything that's showing wood, I'll just colorize it. I don't really want to get into sanding it down and redoing it, because if I sand it down and redo it, it'll be a different color, because I'm not really fond of this walnut color. So anyways, the 12-inch tom is severely marked, and the 13 I think is probably as good as the 10, maybe a bit better. No physical damage to these drums in the sense of them being dropped, hit with a bat, or drop kicked across the parking lot. Okay, so that's good. Randy always played, like I said in the other video, the drums choked to death. So we have pinstripes on it. That wasn't choked enough for him. He taped Mylar rings on. And never liked Randy's drum sound because it was so thuddy and dead. But a lot of guys at that age were doing that. That was the big thing in the 70s, is just choke the hell out of the drums, and a lot of people like that. It's easy to go into a recording studio and record dead drums, and then you add your reverb after to make it sound live. You may as well just have it live when you go in. But I don't know the mentality of that whole period of closed tuning, but it definitely doesn't appeal to my ears. I come from the jazz bands where they let those drums ring to fight the horn section for volume. Okay, so the toms are livable. I'm not crazy about all the scars on. They look like, well, the 12 looks like it's been hit with a pellet gun. Those are basically stick jabs, and you're going from the snare up to the tom, and by accident you jam the stick straight in. It's like if you're stabbing it, and you can only do that so many times. And if you have a broken tip off the drumstick, that's the result you get. It's an ugly mess. So we'll try and touch up the wood color to make it match the rest of the shell, and then I'm going to dab a clear nail polish in it, and then we'll just kind of buff it out and see if it soothes the pain. Now let's get into the ugliness. Okay, what I feared, remember I said in the other video I showed you the tension rods being bent. I don't know if you can see that. See how bent that is? That should be straight. It's like a letter T, not like a hockey stick. Many of them on one side are bent like this. This one's really bad. See? That doesn't happen naturally. It doesn't happen when you crank them either. That happens when you take a drum that's really heavy and you drop kick it into a parking lot. This drum was definitely dropped. Or something really heavy, like a boat, was dropped on it. I don't know. So my fear was, did something else get damaged in the shell? Well, after looking, you can see these rims. This is the skin, the rim of this aluminum rim. It's U-shaped like this, and Mylar is in the other side and glued. These are normally perfectly round. Look at how smashed this is. You can see it. Comes here, big hammered dent right here. So as I felt under the wooden rim is cracked, broken. I haven't taken it apart yet, but I'm worried now that the shell is damaged. I looked on the other side and it looks like it may have a slight crack in. My fear is it hit on this side, that it also hit on this side. So the bass drum is now in question for structural damage. And again, I know the kit wasn't like that before, so it's just from being moved in the last little while, because you can't tune the bass drum skin with it all smashed like that. It's pressed hard up on the shell. It's not even going to move. So something happened to this bass drum. I can repair it. It's going to take a lot of time, but we'll see. We'll see more of the results when I rip it all apart, which isn't going to be today. Now the real ugliness, and I'm not talking my big face. This is this beautiful snare. This is a Gretsch bell brass. They call it a COB, chrome over brass. When I looked at it yesterday, the light just hit it one way where I go, that's not normal. I could see an issue with it. The second issue is this should be flat and it's tapered. It's bent in, angled. That is incorrect. I was trying to look inside the drum. Which way here? You can see it controls this muffle plate, this T-rod in the back. That's a muffle that goes up to the drums. Now it's sitting down about 3 inches, which is not normal. So we've got an issue there just to start. The second issue is yesterday I saw this bottom skin. These are die cast. These are really thick. But I saw when it was sitting in the sunlight, it looked oval, egg-shaped. And I was correct. So when you're looking at the shell, there's space here, and then all of a sudden it just grabs really tight to the shell here. and it's tight in other spots, but you can tell that it's gone egg-shaped. So we took a massive hit on this side, massive, because die-cast rims, they don't just bend without a lot of force being applied to them. That's why people buy die-cast rims, because they're so strong. When you're tightening them, they don't flex like what they call tri-hoops. So then I noticed something really bizarre that I've never seen before. Die-cast rims. So I want you to look at the spacing. See this rim right here? And this is the tension rod that goes through. Right? See this right here? Now look at this one. Bent right in like this. I've never seen a die-cast rim bent with the collar for the tension rod being bent this way. I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely. This is tapered in. It should be straight. Should be straight. So this drum definitely was bent hard, and like this one's straight. So it fell hard on this side, which coincides with some of the damage I see. And here's the clincher. This is what I saw yesterday. The light wasn't reflecting on this. It looks like a dark black area right here. I'm going, why does it look dark like that? Because my first thought was, that looks concave. Because if it was out, it would reflect like this. Now it's concave. It's showing towards center. And sure enough, this entire section is smashed in at least a half an inch. A half an inch. That's crazy. That is not normal. That's from someone throwing a drum and landing on the shell and denting it. Here are the straps. This snare tensioner release should be above this. It should be able to graze just over the rim of the shell. It will never do that. So this is a massive, massive hit. This changed the sound of the drum, and if the damage goes right to the edge of the shell, if the damage has gone to the edge of the shell and creased it in any way, the drum shell is absolute crap. You'll never fix it, not in a million years. So I'm praying that when I take these rims off, the damage is below the edge. But there's no way to fix it if the end piece is pinched. It's junk. So this snare drum alone on its own is worth anywhere from $350 to $500, depending on condition. So right now with that dent in there, it's worth squat. It's worth parts. That's it. So I'm going to try and save it, and I've done some before, but the issue is how good the chroming is. If it's a company that does bad chroming, the chroming will spiderweb and crack. Can't get away from it. So I'm going to hammer it on what they call a sandbag. I'm going to do it with plastic and rubber hammers first, and that'll get the majority of it. But so that was a major disappointment. And I know for a fact that you can't play like that. So this damage was done after Randy. So it was, the drums were just tossed, thrown, whatever. I don't care. It's just not normal. This is not normal use damage. This is blunt force trauma, we'll say. So I'm disappointed. I don't even think I can fix the die-cast hoops, but I'm going to try. But to fix the die-cast hoops, you have to grip on them and then you have to make sure they're round. Just to grip on those flanges with any tool, you may gouge the chrome. I don't know. I've never seen that before in my life, with die-cast rims bending the flanges down. Never. So, I mean, Randy liked a thuddy snare. As you can see, it's got a pinstripe on it, coated, and still muffled it. This is Randy. This is typical Randy. No ring. He didn't want ring at all. But he didn't like high pitched either. So this type of tuning where the flanges are bent down, that's not Randy. So so that's a scoop. I'm going to rip the snare apart and then shed tears after, because I think it's going to be a done deal. I don't think the snare is going to be worth squat. But I'm going to give it my all, because like I say, I waited so long for this. I'm not going to give up on it. So I want this kit to be on stage and play. And you know what's ironic? The two toms that I bought, the 18 and the 14, except for a couple little marks on them, are mint. So from the time I bought that to now, this kit has been abused. So it's sad to say. So it definitely either went down a flight of stairs, or somebody parked a bus on it, or I don't know. Just sad to see a beautiful drum set get abused. Pisses me off. Anyways, thanks for watching. Okay, I forgot to update you on the cymbal situation. If I keep hitting them with my foot. Okay. These are Randy's cymbals minus one that's over here. Don't worry, that one's junk. So it can fall all at once. That's the junk pile. Oops, sorry. So this is one of Randy's. And I could have cut this and made a smaller cymbal, but it's cracked at the bell. So it's total junk. So there's no saving that. This is the ride cymbal that I traded Randy for. He loved this cymbal more than me. I used it in my blues band, like I explained in the other video, to cut through the loud guitar player I had, and it did that. I don't think he's cleaned it since, because when I had it, it was shiny as heck. It's missing. I gave Randy, we traded this one, and I sold him 3 other cymbals. I thought this was the one, but it's a 17. That's not what I sold him. I ended up selling him a variable of 16 and 18s, and that is the scoop. So 3 cymbals that I sold him are not in this stash, but the ride cymbal is. Unfortunately, the ride cymbal was damaged also, like the drums. It was dropped and flat ended. So I spent some time, because I used to be a body guy at the body shops, I straightened it out, give it a test drive, and it actually still sounds like I remember. It's not everybody's sound, like I say. I used it for one purpose, to cut through the guitar player's volume in a blues band. And it sounded great on the recordings of live recordings that I did. So for $30 it didn't owe me anything. But he loved it, and he's had it, and I think I was in the blues band in the 90s, and he's had it since in the early 90s, so he's had it all that time and used it, and I guess liked it too. I could tell he used the bell, because the bell is really shiny from the stick flange, and that's pretty cool, because that's the best part of the cymbal, if you ask me. That's what I used it for. Sometimes I would put a little bit of a gel muffler on it if it got too washy, I like hearing stick definition, and some of these cheap cymbals actually allow that. B8 Splash, he used to have Zildjian, so I don't know. The B8s in this collection are really puzzling to me because he never used to use the cheapy cymbals. I know I own his Zildjian ride. He always had Zildjians for the most part, and the ones I traded him, I traded one Zildjian and two Sabians, or sold them I should say. The interesting thing is the hi-hats. These hi-hats, I think they're rock hats. That's what I remember Randy using all the time, right there. But these paste, that's an unusual thing for Randy. And they got the sound ones here. What do they call it? Yeah, sound edge, which are these edges that are shaped almost like a oriental hat. So that's interesting. That seems very unlike Randy Tucker. But who knows? He might have been using a second hi-hat in his later years. Some guys do that. I know I do. But those I'm going to definitely try out and see what they're like. When I first started playing, after my first taste of crappy cymbals, when I bought my drum set that came with it, I ditched those and I went right into Pace 2002s, which are basically that top head right there, or top plate. I would have had the solid bottom, but all my cymbals were Pace 2002s. And then somebody wanted them more than me and traded me a whole bunch of Zildjians for a ride, a crash of my hi-hats. I actually did really well. I got more cymbals than I gave away, and I've been a Zildjian fan, and for the most part ever since. Okay, kids, I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching.